Hello, everybody. My name is Doctorio. I
Good.
can't do this.
No, that's good. That was good.
Welcome back to the Trinity test. This is Doctorio, and I'm joined by my co-host,
I'm the
Kraken.
Kraken. Um,
Yeah,
so Falcon went ahead, got married, had kids. Um, he might be back.
we don't have to
Don't
like
count on it.
be that nice about it. He probably did. It was just a Kurt Cobain kind of moment,
No,
and he
no.
got fed up with all the art.
Yeah, it was more a Freddie Mercury moment.
You're right. Too much sex, too little AIDS. Wait, too little immune system.
Okay. Um, so here's a thingy. Before we get into continuation of the debate from last time, a little thingy
Oh, okay.
that has come up. Um, is that on my school campus, there are these public buses that work pretty well. Like, you can go anywhere on campus. It's a 30-minute loop, and they usually have three buses running, so it only takes like 10 minutes to get on and a maximum of like 30 minutes to get where you need to go. And
Nice.
for the longest time, they were just like the brand of the bus company on the bus. But now they've started putting advertisements on the bus, which makes it really hard to see how populated a bus is because instead of seeing inside the bus, you see like families laughing or like an apartment complex.
Yeah, I thought this bus was crowded. There's just a bunch of cardboard cutouts filling the space.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I don't have that problem here, but I mean, we have a bus loop, but it's run by the school, and it's
no,
just
ours is run by
extremely
the
inefficient.
school.
Really? And they
they
still have
just
advertising?
yeah, they just advertise like downtown apartments that aren't run by the school. Because as we all know, colleges don't get enough money.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I feel like mine is cheaping out by putting advertisement inside. Like, there's like little panels of advertisement inside the bus, but on the outside, like the school logo and everything. And it's so slow. I have a class that gets done at 6 some nights. The bus does not pick me up until 6:45. So I'm effectively there for an extra like I do my class is an hour, and then I have to wait outside in the freezing cold for another hour before my bus takes me back. And man,
Are you
does that
not living on campus?
nah. I well, kind of. So I'm in the on-campus apartments, but because the town I'm in got built up so fast, there wasn't any room to put the on-campus apartments on campus. So they're in like an off-campus section that you have to take a bus to get to main campus.
You're
It's
just
nice
like
in some
homeless.
ways. Yeah, well, I wouldn't go there. But like, I'm just in like a my own little contained bubble, which is kind of nice when there's like gun threats at the school, which happened this week, which was I was gonna say hype, but I don't think that's the correct term.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, I was downtown earlier today for dinner, and then I meant to go on campus, and there were like six fire engines going down the road, really
Huge.
loud, and it was funny. There was a Tesla that was in front of one of them, and they wanted to turn left down a street that I'm pretty sure is right turn only to like get out of their way. Like they tried to turn the wrong way onto a one-way street, and another car didn't like that, so they took up the other lane that the trucks were about to go down, and they had to like squeeze to one side, and then a bunch of pedestrians just like walked behind the cars after the fire engines.
That's funny. Yeah, my latest run-in with the fire department has been my lab almost burnt down, and as a bonus, it burnt down and ruined my experiment, and then filled the building with asbestos. So I got a
No,
double whammy. Yeah. Don't you love some lung cancer with your chemistry projects? Actual W.
well, let me see if anything else important has happened in my. Let me look through my
You can go
documented.
to the library.
Yeah, open
It's like that
the
scene in
Gary.
SpongeBob.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Gary.
exactly. There once was a man from Nantucket.
Ooh, I like this one. Yeah, not a ton went on lately. Have you ever gone hunting?
Never seen a grown man naked.
I mean, you are from the South, so have you gone hunting
Yep.
before?
Yes, I have. When I was younger, I went with my dad at one point. That was funny. It was
Well,
pretty fun.
well, I have not. However, I know somebody who has like plenty of guns and open land, but I don't think the guns like work. I mean, they look nice.
What?
They
They're just
probably
models.
no, they probably
They're made
do.
of Legos. You
They
can't
probably
use them.
do work, but like some of them are rusty, and I don't think you should shoot that because like rust,
No, no,
and fire is not a good combo.
no. It works perfectly. So like you just coat the bullet in aluminum foil, and then it causes a thermite reaction all the way down the barrel, and you get a really cool effect.
Dragon's breath. That is kind of what they do. They have shotguns that fire 4,000-degree magnesium shards.
Really?
It's illegal.
You bet you, I bet you kill a lot of deer with that.
You could kill the whole of California with that one.
The person who owns the land, what do they hunt?
Deer, rabbits.
Deer. No. I'd say, I mean, I have a lot. Most of the people in my family hunt to some extent. I would say my mom's side mostly fishes, and that's what I've done the most of. I like fishing
How
a
do you
lot.
shoot a fish? The bullet stops at the water.
No, actually, that's not true. So I was fishing for a halibut in Alaska, and the fish was so big. It, I can't like express it because we don't have video cameras, but it was pretty big, like one of those fishing tails, so that big
Well,
that
okay, I guess
my grandfather, who was the boat captain, pulled out a pistol and shot it at the head.
I guess if you were to like shoot at the water, there would be enough of a shockwave that it might.
No, you pull it up to the side of the boat, and then like you don't point the gun towards the boat, but you just blow its brains out.
You old yeller the thing.
Effectively. And then it was funny. So they shot it with the pistol, and it's still flopping around. Like that didn't even kill it. And then they shot it with a harpoon to drag it in. So it was like hunting. Like the whale was named Ahab, right? Or was that
That
the captain?
was the captain. The fish was named Mobert Phallus.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. It's the name of the book. Yeah. You ever read
Did you
Captain
think you were?
Ahab?
Did you think you were referencing a real guy?
I swear, I thought the captain was Moby Dick there for a second.
No, no. Yeah, they gave the fish a real badass name, and then the captain's just like, "It be me, Captain Dick."
Speaking of which, who named the first sperm whale sperm? Like, even if,
It was
even
probably
if I
like
thought,
the first guy to look through a microscope, and he's like, "That's what I've been shooting out, bunch of tiny whales."
I hunt those to put in my perfume. Have you heard of that before?
Oh, it
That was
depends
the
on.
reason.
Oh yeah. Well, also
No, it
lamp
has
oil, right?
spermicide. Wait, no, it's not spermicide. It has like a
Oh,
very similar name to spermicide. I'll look it
oh,
up. So, like, no. Okay, so it's actually bile, right? You're a food
yes,
scientist. Bile. Yeah, so
bile.
sperm whales, they need to make a lot of bile because they eat giant squids and other squids, and their beaks are really tough and they'll tear up their immune system.
Well, yeah.
So the bile they excrete covers the beaks.
Oh no, I've
And
seen that. Yeah, yeah. I actually saw that. Like, yeah, they eat it and it like rockifies and it smells
yeah,
really bad.
ambergris, not spermicide. Ambergris.
That no spermicide. What happens when you put it all in a napkin?
When you kill a sperm whale.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, but ambergris, it's really weird. Some Frenchman went out one day and was like, "What happens if I kill a whale, with gut it, take its intestines, and then distill that into perfume?"
Well, you saw the
And you know
Mario
what?
movie, right? They get eaten, and Seth Rogen has a temper tantrum.
You mean what? Did
No,
they get turned into ambergris?
yeah, and then
Did they get turned into spermicide?
they get pooped out, and you get O to Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
One
Well, yeah.
whale, yeah. One
Have
other thing.
you ever done? Have you ever looked? Okay, okay. That'd be. Have you ever looked up whaling practices around the world?
No,
That stuff's wild. It's actually crazy. So there's only like a few countries that still do whaling, one of which is place Japan, and the other one is I think I think it's just Iceland. Iceland and then maybe Norway, but I might be misremembering that. But Japan, it's said to be illegal by the IUCN, but Japan and Iceland were like, it's for research purposes. We are researching these whales and then selling their carcasses on the black market.
No,
So
no,
there's
officer.
like reports of
I'm not killing people and selling their organs. I'm researching them.
yeah, exactly. It's the same logic. Like, what happens if I just no officer, this random person I just shot on the side of the street, their liver will be donated to a good purpose.
Well, one other thing before we go on to continue our debate from last time is there's actually a Chinese place in town that does a whole roast duck for only $50.
Wait, really? That's
Yeah.
kind of expensive, actually.
No, okay, so I went to New York, Chinatown, got a
Yeah.
half duck for like $18, which was fucking ridiculous, and it was so good. But it's just the half duck. But this restaurant does the whole duck on a plate of white rice with like uh Peking style and all that.
Hmm.
You do have to call ahead, obviously, because like,
They got to slaughter the duck out back.
well, no, but like
Special order.
you can't walk in and expect them to cook you an entire duck in like McDonald's
This
speak.
is America. What are you talking about? I'm gonna.
Where's my
It's
duck?
my God. It's my God-given right.
I mean, it is actually a very fast Chinese restaurant because
I
went in
bleed. I bleed red, white, and duck.
whale season. Okay, well, now that we don't have an audience for our debate, we can get even more visceral.
Okay. I want. I'm just gonna brief you. You have opened the gates, Pandora's box, if you will, because I went down so many niche rabbit holes to find this out. I
Okay,
I'll let you go first.
just to clarify, my argument is that you don't need an established farm to feed the people for generations, okay?
No,
No,
that wasn't your point.
no, because I was saying it's okay that they can fish, but because they need the vitamins, they grow it on the island. They don't trade with other people
You
necessarily.
specifically said that they forage on the island.
They do, but they can also sustain themselves on fish. I was just saying they didn't need to get their food from trading. The
You said specifically, you said
I didn't.
specifically
No, I
that the
never said.
Pitcairn Islands survive. No, no, no. You said that they survive via fishing and then by foraging to make up for the extra vitamins.
Yes.
That is not what happened.
Okay, but hear me out.
Okay.
Some lore for the viewers. The island of Pitcairn was originally founded by 27 people. There were 9 mutineers, 12 Tahitian women, and 6 Tahitian men. Blah, blah,
Okay.
blah, blah, blah. This population decreased rather swiftly as all of the men just started fighting each other over the remaining women.
Let's get
18 years later, the island was rediscovered by a whaler. See, it's all connected.
the spermicide. It all
Wait, at that point, okay, this is actually news to me. This isn't my research, I'll admit. I had a friend who was actually more interested in this than me. Research for me. Okay. At that point, only a mutineer was still alive, and everyone was removed from the island and taken back to Tahiti. Oh, so I think only one of the mutineers survived.
What?
Wait.
That's not the story I read. I did research. So my source is Purdue University, and Purdue University says that the story goes like this. They mutineered on the ship, and then they realized
Mm-hmm.
they knew the island existed, but it wasn't on British maps.
Yeah.
So their goal was first go back to Tahiti, get some women, then go to the island. And while they also realized, same as the Polynesians that settled those islands beforehand, the only way you can survive on these tiny islands is via farming and via I think their main diet was sweet potato and taro. And so they bought those crops in Tahiti, and then with their crew went to Adamstown, which is like the capital of the Pitcairn Islands, and then they survived there via effectively creating small farms. And then what they would do is they would wait and they would trade with any like ships that would come by. And this was the weird story I found. So apparently they got pretty good at surviving. That they would trade for goats and things, which has been pretty delicious if you lived on an island that you could walk across in 20 minutes. But they stole an organ, like a musical instrument organ. I don't know how you steal an organ, let alone set it up on a tiny little island. And here's the
Have you
better
seen
part:
Pirates of the
they did it again. No,
Davy
I haven't.
Jones?
Oh, good point.
Yeah, Davy Jones just brought his ship.
Well, dude, they killed Davy Jones twice over because they got two organs. One they stole, and the other one Queen Victoria was like, "You guys seem to really like organs, so I'll give you another one." So they got two organs.
Okay. This is a side note. We might actually not finish the debate today because this is actually a really important tangent I want to go on.
Okay.
Why don't prisons just give
Go on.
prisoners just give prisoners the things that they do, but also give them like an Xbox and a small TV and like a $200 a year gaming budget, and then have the prisoners stream on Twitch, and then get the ad revenue, and then they are like self-sustaining because they have nothing else to do.
Well, obviously, it's because they could just get the Game Pass.
True. Yeah, give them like a PC a peach. Oh fuck. A PC a piece and the Xbox Gaming Pass and a Twitch membership. Go like work with Twitch, make them all partners off the bat. Actually, no, you don't even need to do that. Like have the prison partner with Twitch. Don't give the prisoners anything. Have them play their game, but stream it. You can also feed AI.
That's one option. See, this is just what I think of when you brought up this idea. I think there's probably an issue with giving prisoners the ability to communicate with the outside without any like officer mediating it. Your only option is like there'll be like a Twitch streamer prisoner. They'll be go like, yeah, thanks for the 5 gifted. Say thanks to Officer Farkey being my mod
Yeah,
tonight.
but what are they gonna do? Are they just gonna go online and call people slurs? Like, there's nothing they can do from prison.
If you had the ability to rally a group of people behind you on Twitch and then tell them the prison you're being held in, there might be an issue that could arise.
Skill issue.
Am I wrong? You're right.
Well,
It's a skill issue from the prison's
okay,
perspective.
okay. This is like a maximum security prison, though. Anybody who
You know
goes
what?
there
You
probably
just
isn't
convinced me.
seeing the
If we
outside
could
again.
get Ted Kaczynski, like Ted Kaczynski Twitch streams,
Dude,
crazy.
you know for a fact Ted Bundy would be like bigger than Ninja. Okay,
Was that the
but
Bite of 87? Just like I did.
right now, Luigi Mangione playing like Hitman would be fucking destroying the internet.
That would be true. That'd be really funny. Dude, I haven't kept up with that trial at all. I feel like I should, but
I
it's
think it's like,
like
well,
just
okay,
petered off.
you do know that a trial takes like 3 years to actually happen, right? It's not like a law show.
Well, like it shouldn't. That's not how.
No, it
That's
does.
not
It
how
takes that
most.
long, dude. Paperwork, gathering evidence.
It usually takes less than that. I mean, if it's like a open and shut case, I would imagine. I mean, for this one of this profile, where the New York governor literally said he's a terrorist without him being tried as a terrorist, and he's the representative
Okay, yeah,
of like the New York state, which is prosecuting him. You know,
Yeah, they
you
would
might run into
expedite
some
this one.
issues.
They would expedite this one.
Yeah.
But like no, real criminal cases can take like 10 years to even go to trial. It's ridiculous.
That's exactly what you want to hear if
Well,
you're.
okay,
Oh yeah,
especially
it's like the people on death
immigration
row for like
cases.
20 years.
Well, no, death row they get to sit there as like a punishment for part of it. But like immigration cases take like 5 years, and so they just get sent back
Yeah,
to
that's not
Mexico.
surprising.
They get like sent back to Mexico before they even know if they belong in the United States legally, which is not a good system.
Yeah, but that's true of most. That's true of almost all immigrants, though. I mean, there isn't really a counter to that. It's going to take some time. It
I mean,
shouldn't take as long as it does.
I'd like to go up to an ICE employee, say I'm from like Montreal, and then get deported, which is like
Yeah.
a free ride.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
What are
I
they
don't
gonna
know.
do? Question the officer with a gun?
I think the whole scenario is very interesting right now with ICE and that stuff. This is going to get a little more philosophical. This is my opinion on it. I don't think it's necessarily bad the deportations are happening. And this is what it's you can point an argument to say you can have an argument that says like they're being treated inhumanely. And I'm not going to tackle that. That may be true. I haven't read anything about that. But the fact that they're doing the deportations, I think is good because if you have the label that people are illegal immigrants, because there's a reason for the label, then they have to be treated in a way that there has to be a punishment that suits a crime, right? If there's no punishment for a crime, it's effectively not a crime, right? Nobody's gonna. It's like the same thing as like
Well,
during the
well,
bootlegging
okay,
days.
okay. Actually, that's a good point here. So, right now, most illegal immigrants, like, there's some statistic out there that I've heard frequently enough that I can just straight up say it. Most illegal immigrants actually pay more in taxes than they receive from tax benefits. And
See,
they
how is
are,
that possible?
well, because the tax benefits that they get don't apply because they're not a U.S. citizen. They get,
No, I'm asking how do they pay taxes? How is it possible that somebody without a social security number can actually register or
no,
any like
because you
identification
come in,
can pay?
whenever you buy food, you pay a tax on that food.
Okay, that's true.
When you get paid, like a contractor pays a tax to earn the commission for that contract. And if the contractors were illegal immigrants, they get handed their cash, but the contractor still has to pay the tax on the contract. There's taxes involved. Like their presence in America, even if they were to live in like a truck, they'd have to pay tax on like the gas for that truck eventually.
That's true, but I don't think that's what most people argue in terms of paying tax. Like they don't pay income tax. Like it's impossible for them to pay income tax without literally stating that they are working in America under a visa,
Well,
right?
yeah, but
I think
okay,
that's
if a waitress gets paid a tip in tax and it's not written on the receipt, they don't pay a tax on that. Should they be sent to Mexico? That's rhetorical. Obviously, all waitresses
boy.
should be sent to Mexico.
I mean, my argument here is not necessarily like, it, like I'm sure these people are good people. I think most of them are good people. But the reality of why they're in America in the first place is because people can pay them under the table for less than minimum wage. So it's exploitation necessarily. And they are living in a system in which they are benefiting without being part of the actual process to get in. And then also, I take issue with I mean, they are paying taxes, but I would say that they are definitely profiting from, or not profiting, profiting is the wrong word, but they are gaining value from the taxes paid by other American citizens. And they certainly don't have to pay as much taxes as the normal American citizen.
Like,
So, for example,
okay, well, roads is that an example you would have used at some point? Roads are like a thing paid for by taxpayers.
sure,
Like
sure.
roads get used whether you're a taxpayer or not because somebody on vacation rents a car and they use that road. Like I'm not saying that there's no effect and there's nothing like an illegal immigrant using something that the taxpayers paid for, that happens. But for example, like taxpayer money is also not used very well. There is so much of it going to the
That's
military,
true.
so much of it going into policing. A lot of it is going into getting immigrants of legal or illegal status out of this country. And I think like
That being said, though, that doesn't excuse like just because it's the money is managed poorly, which is necessarily going to happen in any governmental system. That is not an excuse to then just say like, well, that's okay then for them to exploit it because it's managed poorly. It's still other people's money. You're taking advantage of other people's work without necessarily you're not contributing to the cause, if that makes sense.
Like,
Like the amount of value you put in is not equal. Like this is the best way that I can think to analyze it. Let's compare the average American citizen versus an illegal immigrant, right? Both of them pay some taxes necessarily, right? The illegal immigrant's going to buy stuff, and there's going to be taxes on that item.
yes.
But compared to the average worker, they definitely pay less taxes because their income tax is definitely going to be less. I mean, property tax is going to be less, and any of the taxes that requires their identity, they don't have to pay.
Well,
And so,
like already right there, even though an illegal immigrant doesn't have income or property tax, they wouldn't make enough to be in the tax bracket of an average American. They are getting like
why
$100 a week for their work, or like some.
they shouldn't legally
No,
be able to do that, and that's
no,
the second issue with
they're getting
legal
paid below
immigration.
minimum wage because they don't need to be paid minimum wage. And so
Exactly.
if you get paid below minimum wage, you're below the minimum tax bracket of income tax. I'm not saying that they shouldn't pay anything, but since they're not even receiving the legal minimum, why should they pay the legal minimum tax on their
Because the employer should be required to pay them the minimum tax. It's a disparage there between you're saying that well they're not being paid minimum wage, but the reason they're not being paid minimum wage is because they're a legal immigrant. Like if they were an actual citizen with a visa, or they were just somebody with a visa, right,
then they
working,
would pay the
they would
taxes?
have to be paid minimum wage, and they would have to pay taxes on top of that. It's
Well,
the,
it,
the causality is not
well,
working
I because I'm thinking that it's a problem above the level of employer and employee. I think it's a problem of minimum wage is a problem, and what's especially a problem is big companies like monopolies exist so that it becomes more valuable to work in America getting some really shitty job because when you live down in Mexico, Walmart comes in and unless you work for the Walmart, your local shop goes out of business, your local farm goes out of business because it's sold to a bigger conglomerate and it's really hard to like you'd probably make less farming for coffee than you would like putting nails on a board all day.
I mean, that's certainly true, but I think that's more of an argument of these people are good people and they're trying to do something. They're trying to improve their position, which you can't fault anybody for trying to improve their position. What you can fault them for is doing the process illegally. And I mean, I could see an argument in which you state like, well, the immigration system is so broken that the only way that they could do that is by breaking the law.
That is
But that comes
almost
with
my argument. Okay. Like so two things. One, they are coming to this country and they're doing more work than Americans are because the quote unquote people don't want to work bullshit. It's more like employers don't want to pay even this really low minimum wage. So if they can get an illegal immigrant that they don't have to pay minimum wage, they're going to go with that option, which encourages more people to immigrate even if it's illegal. But the other thing is like, yeah, it's labeled as
I think
illegal. It's labeled as
there's a
illegal.
correction there.
Well,
It's they it encourages them to immigrate illegally. Like they're literal businesses that their entire model is working illegal immigrants. They hire illegal immigrants because they can pay under minimum wage and offer a product for less than their competitors, right? That's an issue with illegal immigration. That's an argument against illegal immigration because you're
Well, I'm not
exploiting the
saying that's a
worker.
I'm not saying that's a reason there should be more illegal immigrants. I'm saying that because illegal immigration is okay, because companies would rather pay for people there illegally under the table than they would pay American citizens. But the other piece is like it's really hard to become a legal American citizen and to come here to work legally, and the punishment for like doing any little bit of it wrong is just as bad as if you're caught having worked here earning all this money that you can't get elsewhere.
So I'm going to offer an alternative perspective to that. Let's take this from the perspective of somebody with a lot of money who's is a corporation, right? you, by that illegal immigrant taking that job from under minimum wage, you effectively undercut the American worker who is required to be paid more. So, from the position of the corporation, it makes sense to exploit people illegally uh, to make their profit. The issue with that is it's effectively a system that's it's like self-feeding because it's bad from the perspective of the American worker can't find a job because minimum wage is too high compared to what the corporation's willing to pay you for. And so the corporation instead chooses to use a effectively black market route to undercut minimum wage so that they can both exploit somebody from a foreign country and undercut the American worker. So, from an American policymaker, my question would be your goal as an American policymaker is, in general, I think most people say that the goal is that you're supposed to protect the American people first. But even if you disregard that and you say you want to protect everybody around the world, the only person who profits in this relationship is the corporation that's charging more for the illegal immigrants. And the second point of this is if you are the policymaker, you want people to enter the country that offer skills that your normal citizen can't provide. Anybody can work a job that's manual labor that illegal immigrants are being used for right now. Anybody can do it. The reason that illegal immigrants are selected is because they're a cheaper workforce and because companies don't have to pay the minimum wage. On the contrary, if you were a policymaker, you want people that are like tops of their field experts because they're actually going to they increase the value of your system and don't offer jobs that the bottom line workforce could already take up. The way I think that is around that is if you were to say the bottom line workforce, there isn't enough of those people. Uh, so you shouldn't even be you need illegal immigrants because you need immigrants low work or sorry low skill immigrants because you need to cover that baseline level of the position. But even then, I still argue that it seems like it's based on exploitation, and the only person who really comes out ahead is the business owner.
Well, yeah, I think there's a few sides to it. I think what like there's an underlying problem of corporations having political power because in like omnipresent, omnibenevolent policymaker would just say crack down on corporations hiring people illegally, make sure that they have a reasonable number of employees that are paying their taxes, which would make sure that they are American citizens. And once that happens, the corporation can't default to turning to illegal immigrants, which removes job opportunities in those corporations for illegal immigrants. And like, yeah, that doesn't even address the fact that there are some immigrants that are like fleeing persecution or just some really bad like
Yeah,
war shit like that.
and
But
that's a
like
good point.
from just the perspective of coming to America because there's jobs and you can undercut somebody, like the richest job in your hometown is less than below minimum wage in like Texas, which is probably a pretty common situation. Like if we stopped corporations from being able to do that, it would de-incentivize the illegal immigration for that reason. And then after that point, just make enough policy so that there is legal immigration in emergencies. Like asylum is one that isn't functioning properly, I don't think. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot
Well,
of
all of them don't. They're all non-functional because the reason that they exist in the first place is because corporations can profit based on exploitation of people that are there without visas, and that's the core issue. And I find I think relating it back to the what's happening right now with the deportations. I think it's good in that it somewhat solves the problem, but it doesn't solve the deep level issue of like corporation. The reason it exists in the first place is because corporations are paying them under the table. But the reality is seen in prohibition, you can't like outlaw things that are like things like that.
well,
How
yeah.
do you can't go to every single business and check them for illegal immigrants. That would be functionally impossible. I
Well,
mean, it would cost a
there's
lot more money than it would be worth. And
there's
the
money being wasted on the deportations right now that if you instead use that money temporarily to just check these companies, like coming from just a perspective of a policymaker, I personally don't think this is a great idea because it will destroy families even in the short term. But just going through these companies and seeing how many labor hours did you get, like, does your job need, and how many of those were completed, and how many have you paid for on the books? And if those numbers don't match up, that's good evidence that there's unreported taxes and payments going on, and they don't even need to look at how big the difference of money is because they don't need to like rely on minimum wage. They just need to see, like, this Walmart, it says that it needs 10,000 hours of personal labor. It only paid for 2,000, and you need
Uh,
somebody, well, you'd need somebody to audit that from outside, like how many man
yeah.
hours you need to function, because obviously Walmart would
See,
just start
maybe
self-reporting.
it's possible. Obviously, I couldn't. I'm not in the position to look at that and make that call. But I would imagine that similar to what the argument right now against the deportation is, it's so expensive versus the amount of it's so expensive to audit the companies versus the value that you gain from actually auditing them that you'd rather just not do it at all.
Well,
And that's what people argue for this deportation stuff that's occurring right now. But I think they lose the actual value of it. The value is not that you're deporting people. That is good. I mean, it's good in fact that you're getting people that are breaking the law out of the country from just a governmental perspective. But
it's a
more
money
importantly, it's
sink.
not. Well, no, it's not because it's preventing people from wanting to cross the border. I mean, if you look at the statistics right now, it's like the border crossing estimates right now have just like shot to the ground, which is the whole point. I mean, it's hard to catch somebody in the country that's a legal immigrant once they're already here. Like that's hard to do. But preventing new people from coming over, you were at least stopping the flow, and the flow has been what was the issue under the last administration that people had an issue with, and that's where I see the value with it is at least from if you believe that if people breaking the law, illegal immigrants are breaking the law, if the government should act to prevent those people from breaking the law, then what they're doing right now is at least preventing new people from breaking the law.
Well,
You're stopping the
I,
drive.
I don't know right now, and the data may never exist, but is there an economic benefit to stopping the flow? Like, are there returns on that investment of deporting people? Because the way that I see it, you give more American citizens the ability to earn that minimum wage, but the taxes were already being accounted for. Like, the money leaving the government's pockets through paying contractors using taxpayer money, like, I don't know if the government is getting more or less money back because now these corporations are paying full price, and there's going to be like towns with insufficient amounts of labor available.
I
Like,
think I think there's certainly an increase coming in because those people that weren't paying income tax beforehand are now having to pay income tax. I would assume they're above the tax bracket for being required to pay income tax. So, but the question is, do the deportations? Obviously, the deportations are probably going to be more expensive than the increase in income tax. The real value there is not necessarily in the economics, it's in like the value of the person. You have more Americans filling jobs and you have less people who are effectively either homeless because they don't have a job, or you have less people that are American citizens uh, not being able to find a job. And I think that's the draw there.
well,
I think
that
this
that
is very similar.
that's
Well,
like
yeah,
that's
wait.
like the nationalism angle where like an American being homeless is a worse situation than a family from Mexico being homeless because they lost their home in America. But like, I understand that there is the like the perspective of what's best for the American people, but there's also just the side to the argument where it's like running away as a slave was illegal, but
Yeah, I mean that's true, and I think what's important to keep track of in this argument is it's generally I think it has to be based around the position of a policymaker. Like for example, if I was in the position of a policymaker, their job is to suit the American people first because they gives them votes, which gives them power, right? I mean, from the utilitarian perspective, it's obviously terrible that across the world there's a bunch of people suffering that have much worse lives than us. And under the utilitarian view, I mean, we should just distribute all our wealth from all countries to the poorer countries to make
yeah,
sure everybody's at the
we really need to
equal.
help Pitcairn.
Yeah. Well, that's what Britain's doing, effectively. They keep
Giving
feeding
them
them children.
organs.
They need more musical instruments. Eventually, they'll have like a full symphony orchestra out there.
Actually,
And
that was the moral of the movie Coco. It's not it doesn't have to do with family. We need to send more guitars to Mexico.
yeah, you're right. This is how we solve the
who will
humanitarian crisis in
who
northern
will
Africa.
who will
Just send
be
them a
the
couple flutes.
who will be the next Senor de la Cruz?
Are you starving? Pick up a guitar.
I mean, that's what they do in New York, but with violins.
Yeah, I think that Mexico's a very interesting place. I've debated it for a while if I'd be willing to visit. There's certain areas I'd want to visit just to see the biology of it, but especially northern Mexico, I'm cool. Chihuahua, nah, not for me. Chihuahua, not for me.
Well, I've been to I think Costa Maya. I don't know if that's considered in Mexico. And I've been to
I don't know
Honduras.
where that is, but I'll look at it.
Um,
That's part of Mexico.
yeah, it should be
That's
like
like a
east,
state, I think.
like northeast or southeast or something. East.
Yeah, Costa Maya is. It's right next to it's close to Belize, but in that part, the Yucatan
Yeah.
Peninsula area.
So
That
I've
is
been
where
there,
I would like to go there.
and what was actually like it was kind of eye opening is when we got there, we rented like a golf cart to drive around. That wasn't the eye opening part, but it was fun because like,
I've never driven a golf cart before. Life changing.
but we went to a like local, not touristy part, like basically a small village because we had our golf cart, so we drove like 10 kilometers. We went to like the local village, and there was a chicken place there, all in like Spanish, so you know it's good. And
They speak that there.
but they had
That's
the
pretty normal.
live chickens outside of the restaurant,
Oh, really?
like, and there was a guy out there defeathering a chicken corpse, and I'm pretty sure it was alive that morning. But
Oh, gee.
we went in, and it's four people in my family, and we order like 3 tacos each, chicken tacos, very fresh chicken tacos, and the payment was like, I don't know how many pesos it was at the time. It was $5 for the four of us.
Really?
It was
That's pretty good.
ridiculous. Actually, I think we paid in US dollars because they give you a favorable exchange rate in
Yeah.
the restaurant because they care more about having US dollars on hand.
That's common in a lot of places, especially in like the third world. I know Argentina. I mean, Argentina, their currency was so screwed for such a long time. There are now pushes to have dollarization, which
Well,
is
yeah,
effectively the entire country is going to be run on the US dollar instead of the
it
peso.
it's
Which,
more it's resistant to inflation, but also that's
well,
that's
I don't
something
know.
of, well, it's more resistant than their own country by far.
True.
But that's like a cause for concern is what if another country starts using the US dollar and the US mint is the only place that they can get more money? They'd have to bring it all in, and they'd have to trade for commodities to get their hands on the US dollar. I don't know how any of this works. This is like economic shit far
I think
beyond
there's a much bigger issue that was seen in the Eurozone crisis. Have you heard about that before?
Eurobeat, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we both went to Greece. We went to Greece together. Greece, the reason that Greece collapsed and the reason that its economy just went,
Was
you know,
communism.
nose down. No. For the same reason Spain, Portugal, and Italy, it was because of the euro. So the reason when most countries, that they can't pay their debts, they just print more money.
Oh,
And
was it?
this is
Oh, it's,
bad because it
yeah.
devalues the
It's
currency.
trying to
But
inject. Yeah, it's like injecting a, fuck, a monetary currency from a country that isn't yours, so you can't produce it and you have no way
yeah.
to hold its value.
Yeah, so when Greece was faced with paying debts it couldn't pay, it couldn't just print the money, and they had to just keep going to Germany for loans, and that's why their economy is still like destroyed, is because they're still paying back the loans from another country. Effectively, the euro. I've done a lot of reading on the euro because I think it's very interesting. It's very convenient, but what it has done is it's effectively made Germany richer and all the other countries around it poorer because the countries around it can't print new money. They have to just
Classic
keep going to
Germany.
Germany. Well,
That's so you're telling me
Germany won in the end.
every time I got veal in Greece, it was very slowly paying Germans.
Yeah, every time you got a cut of veal in Greece, a penny got added to Deutsche Bank in Frankfurt.
A small German child gets his wings. He gets his
Every
MP4.
time a every time a baklava is eaten, a German gets his paycheck.
every time every time you eat a Turkish delight, a small German boy tries his first beer. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's actually kind of funny that Germany ended up
Yeah,
doing
no, it's actually
that.
hilarious.
You think
It's
Hitler
very
was
funny.
like, finally, I got my hooks in all the countries. Here's my contingency plan, and here is the gun I will kill myself with.
So it's actually funny because I've seen it in two different places. So in Poland, I had this conversation with this dude, and he was like, I think, well, he was also kind of, in general, he was kind of afraid that Russia was going to invade, which, maybe, but he was also kind of distrusting in general. But he was like, the country is currently, there is an opinion in Poland that the country is being screwed over by Poland, or by Germany. And then also in the UK, the reason that the pound has collapsed, or the reason why the British economy has not been growing very substantially, is because before
Queen
the
of
euro was
England died.
invented, well, it was actually pretty close, but it was called Black Monday there, and it was when so before the euro, the whole idea was you have to peg your currency, which sounds really fun. But you, you peg your they had to peg the pound to the Deutschmark so that businesses felt comfortable that when they did
Yeah.
business in Britain, they could easily exchange it for Deutschmark.
Well, it's like
Well, when
Bitcoin.
the what people often quote Margaret Thatcher when she was like the German reunification is going to be bad. That's generally where the quote stops. The actual quote is more along the lines of German reunification is bad because it's going to cause the Deutschmark to change its price extremely rapidly, and Britain's not going to be able to make the fluctuation. And France wasn't either because France was also part of the deal, and it led to a complete collapse of the pound. Wow, of the pound. When they added East Germany in, Germany had to spend a lot of extra money
Yeah.
out of the government's pocket to get
Well, yeah,
East Germany back up to
to
the
get
West's
pegged by
level.
Margaret Thatcher. I hear you.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And then they had the pound. The British had to keep the pound in a stable level, and the Deutschmark I think had just been extremely devalued, and they couldn't do it. And it's the only time, and it's like 600-year-old history that the Bank of England has ever defaulted on its debt.
So what I'm hearing is Adolf Hitler got pegged and pounded by Margaret Thatcher.
You are exactly correct. Correct.
What do I win? Poland?
Well, half of Russia, or like half of the developed part of Russia, but only for like half a year.
Well, I can I can do a couple things with that. I can make Tetris.
Yeah, yeah. You
Well,
could try to invade
that
Ukraine.
was a lot of economic theory.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I like economics.
Pitcairn, basically, here's what I'll say. There are 7 edible plants. Hibiscus is one of them. I don't know. They're all scientific names. There are 7
That's
edible
one. Can
native
you count
plants.
to five?
I don't want to say them because they're all sciencey. Stidium guajava, apparently. Um,
You did what to my mother?
I took her to a Deutschmark while Margaret Thatcher watched.
There was an intense pegging session to the Deutschmark.
Um, so
The
apparently
Franc got involved too.
there was only fresh water in spring on the island, so they had to really save their water when they did their small personal farms. Um, but yeah, there were
Plants can
very
drink salt water. They're fine with that.
there actually are like mangroves can actually just fucking drink salt
Yeah,
water. It's pretty metal.
they're kind of sick.
I
Mangroves, my favorite tree.
That's
That's
certainly
my
an
favorite
opinion.
tree. Birch, spruce, oak, dark oak. Sometimes jungle wood if I feel like it.
Acacia,
Acacia, yeah.
cherry.
Well, no, it's more of the blossom type.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm partial to the creaking. I don't think that's a real tree they added.
It's like creaking wood or something. My creaking wood.
My
Creaking, no, how I creaked your mother.
how I pegged your mother to the Deutschmark.
How I pegged your mother. That's got to be the name of the episode.
Barney. I don't know any of the characters besides Barney.
Party, I hardly know her. Uh,
Let me see. Creaking is a hostile mob. Resin clumps.
yeah, they added Amber to Minecraft. Soon they'll add dinosaurs. Well, they did. Yeah, they actually kind of added dinosaurs.
What do you mean they kind of?
Oh, they have like the sniffer thing, right? And that's supposed to be a fake dinosaur or something.
I don't know. It's like a dog. Oh, it's called pale oak.
Very perceptive. Oh, that's lame.
It's really lame. Perceptive. Yeah, it's like a
Oh,
ancient dog.
all right. I'm going on to the cesspool. It is r/Minecraft. First post is an AI generated image of a Minecraft chicken about to be slaughtered by pillagers. All right, we're on a
Oh,
good
that's the
track.
movie, right?
Oh, is it?
It might. It probably
That's not
is.
AI
It
generated?
3D?
Yes, it is 3D.
Probably the movie.
And
Or is that
the
probably
pillagers.
also AI?
Oh yeah, it does
That
say
is
pillagers in
the
a Minecraft
movie,
map.
and that
That
is
actually that does not look. Who does who? What?
who?
Pardon?
Why are they in a boxing ring?
Pardon?
That's not a thing in Minecraft.
I don't know. Yeah,
Why?
I was like, when was
Why?
the rope
Why
added
do
to
the
Minecraft?
pillagers? Why are they wearing like Confederate uniforms?
I was gonna say SS, but
No, SS would look more flashy.
I what you know like Quentin Tarantino movie about World War II? Have you seen it before?
No?
You should watch it. It's good. It's free. I should say this. I found a recording on YouTube. I don't know if it's legal or not. Knock on wood,
Of what?
but it is Glorious Bastards. Look at it. Very
Oh
good.
yeah. No, I've seen that.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Actually, I was kind of torn on it. It was good. I thought the ending was a little strange.
It's
I
not.
don't know.
Well, okay. It was definitely not meant to be an accurate historical fiction, but
No, I
it's
liked how
got.
they just blew Hitler's head off.
Yeah, no, that was awesome.
Spoiler.
I loved that part. Oh, speaking of spoilers, also I gotta like pee, so we're probably gonna end soon.
Yeah, fair enough.
Speaking of spoilers, at the end of Cobra Kai, like the 6 season long TV series, at the end of Cobra Kai, well, not quite at the end yet, but in the last season, they learned that Mr. Miyagi killed a guy in a karate match when he was younger, and that like really messes with Daniel-san's head. But at the end of the movie, and at the end of the TV show, they just kind of brush past that by saying Mr. Miyagi always fought so that he wouldn't have to fight another day.
Hitler only attacked Poland so he wouldn't have to fight another day.
It's so funny. And then the other thing is like Mr. Miyagi apparently like beat a prison guard within an inch of his life, but then they're like, oh, the prison guard stole his wife's pearl necklace when he took her to an internment camp. So Mr. Miyagi was just repaying the favor. It's like, what?
Okay. I'm sorry, I was just browsing r/Minecraft and it says I built a new house and it was just like a text, like or like just, it was
Yeah,
just house.
I see that one, House MD. That's
And
funny.
that's what I see when you're talking about Mr. Miyagi killing somebody.
Uh,
This vexes me. Never seen that before. Maybe I will, maybe I won't.
it's fire. Alright, well, speaking of fire, call me a fire truck because I gotta go down the street and pass the red lights. Wee woo. All
Call
right.
me a fire truck the way I'm about to mow down some pedestrians. All right,
Well,
thank you everybody so much for watching.
next week we'll maybe hopefully have Saul Volcano back for his third premiere.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Who knows? But
Bada
thank you
bing,
everybody
bada
so much for
boom.
watching. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe. Up and out.
Up and out.